com. Okay, so I have over here, I'm gonna leave a link in the description. You can go and check that out. You can choose any character, so I'm gonna choose this Erika Archer. So use this character, so select that and click on use this character, and in the left side you can see download button, so click on it. Okay, and select Unity FBX. Sorry, you for FBX for Unity, make sure you just select that, and you can T-pose or original pose, it's totally up to you. Then basically T-pose or it's totally up to you what you want, and then click on this download button. So I already have downloaded, and you can see the character right over here. You okay, as you can see, so I have already downloaded. Okay, so I'm gonna go to Unity, and then let's go to project tab, then assets. I'm gonna drag the character in assets folder. So in order to drag that, so I'm gonna go where I downloaded, so right over here I have. So let's select that and drag it to that assets folder. So it will take a few moments for dragging our character. So over here, as you can see, I have, so I'm gonna drag it to scene view or hierarchy. So let's drag it something right over here, scene view, and it seems totally white, as you can see if you take a look. Okay, to get rid of that, what we're gonna do, we're gonna select that. Okay, select that from assets folder and move over to inspector, and then move over to materials and click on this extract materials. Okay, in the inspector, and you have to select a folder where you want to extract. So just go to assets, right click, then new folder, and name that folder to something like texture. So I already have created, so let's select that folder. Okay, and so the texture will be extract there. Okay, so now our character will turn into a real character, basically with color. So as you can see, we keep normal map settings, so just click on this fix now. Okay, and it will fix. So we have fixed now. Okay, now we are able to see. So the problem is that the character feels little bit small, so I'm gonna make it larger. So let's scale it. So let's go to inspector, let's scale it in the X something like 2, in the Y 2, and in the Z 2. Okay, so now the character is looking fine. Okay, so I'm gonna select this player. Okay, so basically this cylinder, a yellow cylinder, and I'm gonna uncheck this, basically unchecked. Okay, basically disabling that game object. Instead I want to use this one. Okay, and what we need to do now, we have to attach some components to this. So I'm gonna drag it top of my hierarchy so I can see all the time, and let's call this something like player instead of Erika Archer. Let's call it player, and then what we have to do, we're gonna add rigid body, capsule collider, and player script also. Okay, so let's select this player, let's click on add component. Firstly, let's add up rigid body, and let's scale it the mass something like 3, and let's go to collision detection, and let's choose continuous. Okay, and we're gonna freeze the rotation about Z axis, and then let's add up one more component, which will be collider. Let's add a capsule collider 2D, sorry, not 2D, capsule collider, and let's edit the collider as the size of our character. Okay, so click on capsule collider, then click on edit collider, and edit the collider as the size of our player game object. Okay, so we're gonna make the radius a little bit thickness, something like this. Okay, so just play around and you're gonna get hang of it. Something like 0.2 seems pretty fine. Okay, and the y, in the y, I'm gonna move it somewhere around here, and let's drag it a little bit down, something this. Okay, the height, and now it seems pretty fine. Okay, so let's add up our script. So let's click on add component, and let's find our player script and attach that. Okay, so as you can see, coin text says none, and then game transform none. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to this player game object, which one we disable it. Let's go to player script and right click and click on copy component. Okay, right click and click on copy component, and then go to your main player game object, and then go over to player script, right click and paste component values. Okay, so now it's pasted as you can see. Okay, so we did mistake. Basically we have to create a checkpoint, okay, in the bottom. So we're gonna right click on our player game object. Let's create an empty game object. Okay, so let's call this game object something like checkpoint. Okay, and F2 focus on it, and we're gonna drag this game object in the bottom of our feet. Okay, feet of our player over here as you can see. So let's select this player game object and drag this checkpoint to checkpoint fill. Okay, so the sphere will be drawn. So I'm gonna edit the height of the capsule collider. So let's click on capsule collider, edit collider, and let's edit the collider. Let's make the height a little bit something like let's drag it up something over here. Okay, so it's fine now. Okay, and I hope it's now everything is good now. Okay, so now if we hit this play button in the top, we should able to see player will just gonna move in the forward direction with speed of 10 unit every single frame. Okay, so as you can see, indeed it's moving, but the problem is that camera is not following, so we just did a mistake. Okay, we made a mistake. So what we have to do, as you can see, main camera transform. So we're gonna go to player game object. So this is our player. So we did mistake somewhere, I guess. So if we hit this play button in the top one more time, we should able to see our camera game object should follow our player. Okay, but it's not doing at all. So what we have to do, we need so we're gonna go to this sorry, where we have main camera. Okay, in main camera, as you can see, player transform. So we disable this player, instead we just drag it this player. So we're gonna select this player and let's drag it up there. Okay, now it's fine. Now if we hit this play button in the top, we should able to see now our player sorry, main camera just gonna follow our player in the direction player is going, as you can see. But the problem is that player is currently just playing the T-pose. So we're gonna download some animation. So let's unplay this and let's go to that website one more time, and in the left side characters animation, you're gonna find those animation. Okay, so what we need a basically running animation, jumping animation, basically we need two animation. So we're gonna click on this search bar and let's find run. Okay, and click on enter to get a running animation clip. So we're gonna choose a perfect running animation clip. Okay, so find that. So this one seems pretty cool, so we're gonna select that, and you can check that. So click on this in place. Okay, in place, and you're gonna see and hold click, you can just move your mouse to move to basically get a look of your running animation clip. So we're gonna download this one. To download it, so let's click on this download. Okay, and with skin, so we already downloaded the character. Okay, so that's why we're gonna select without skin, and make sure you just choose FBX for Unity, and then 30 frames and keyframes. So we're gonna choose none, something like that. We're gonna leave it as it is, and after doing this, click on download button. Okay, and it will download your animation, and we need also one more animation clip, which is the jumping one. So let's find jump, and let's find that out. So we have jump animation clip, run jump, something like that. So this one seems pretty cool, so I'm gonna select that. Okay, select that, and let's click on this in place in the right section. Okay, and as you can see, it seems pretty cool, and then click on this download. So let's download without skin, and then click on this download button. So it will download our jump animation clip. Okay, So just wait for to compile and it's downloaded. So let's go to Unity now and let's go to project tab. Okay, so let's create a tab, basically create a animation folder. So go to project tab, then assets, right click on assets, create folder, and name that folder to something like animation. So I already have it right over here, so I'm gonna go to file manager where I downloaded. So we have over here jump and running. Let's select both of them by holding down shift, and let's move it over to that animation folder. So I'm gonna cut this now. So we have our this jump one and also this running one. Okay, so I'm gonna select this player game object in order to basically add jump basically add animation to this game object. We need to attach animator component. So select the player game object, go over to inspector and click on this add component and find over there animator component. Okay, and attach that, and this component is responsible for shooting up animation and playing animation. And over here, as you can see, controller, and it says none, empty. So basically we need to make a controller. Okay, so in order to create a controller, what you need to go to project tab, then assets, right click on animation or assets, then go to create, and let's over there in the bottom you can find animator controller. So select that and name the controller what you want. So this is our player game object, so I'm gonna name it something like player controller, or leave or you can name it player as well. Now select this player game object, and controller, it says none, empty, so we're gonna select this player and drag it out there. Okay, and double click that to animator controller or that player controller to open that up in animator tab. As you can see, it's totally empty. So what we have to animation. So we're gonna select the first one, which is jump. So let's select that and drag it top of this player game object. Okay, now if we move over to animator, as you can see, jump animation added to our animator tab. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing. So let's select this running one, and let's drag it top of this player game object, and we can see our running and jumping animation clip just added up. So I don't want this jump animation clip to be default animation clip. Instead I want this running. Okay, so right click on running and set as layer default state. Okay, and now if we hit this play button in the top, we should able to see running animation clip will be played right after the game basically game start. And let's see. So as you can see, but the problem is it just played one time and it's not playing anymore. So what we need to do, we need to basically so I'm gonna unplay this. What we have to do, we need to go to project tab, then animation, where we have dragged all of the animation, which is jump and running. So we're gonna select that one. Okay, select that animation clip, or basically this Erica Archer running. So select that and move over to inspector, and you can see over there animation. So click right there. Okay, and if you scroll down to the bottom section, you can see loop time. So I want this running animation clip to be looped, so that's why we're gonna check this one. And after doing that, make sure you just click on this apply button. Okay, so as well I want the jump animation clip to be looped. Okay, to be looped. So to get that, let's go over to inspector, then animation, and let's scroll down to the bottom. So let's click on loop time and click on this apply button in the bottom. So now if we hit this play button in the top, we should able to see the running and jumping so basically the running animation clip will be played now over again and again. Okay, so as you can see, indeed our running animation clip is playing, but when we press down space key, we want our player game object to jump. Okay, so I'm gonna make the jump a little bit high. So I'm gonna select this player game object. Let's go over to player strip. So I'm gonna make the jump something like let's do it 20. So now let's hit this play button in the top. We should able to see that we're gonna jump. Okay, so just wait. And so we did some mistake, I guess. So I'm gonna select this player game object and F to focus on it. So we have over here, okay. So as a layer mask, so I'm gonna increase the check rigid body, okay. So select that and drag it rigid body, and by now there are or the bug will be gone. So I'm gonna make the jump height too, and let's check that out. So let's hit this play button, and now we're gonna able to jump, okay. So when we are jumping, we want to play jump animation clip instead of running, okay. So something like this, as you can see, we can jump. So in jumping, we just want to play jump animation clip. So I'm gonna make the rigid body a little bit high, something like 3, and let's make the jump height something like 5, okay. So let's hit this play button in the top. Now we should able to see the player character will gonna jump now perfectly, okay. So we're gonna have perfect jump, okay, something like this. As you can see, we are jumping, and make sure you just go to unplay this, then go to rigid body and freeze the rotation all of in x-axis, y-axis and the z-axis as well, okay. So once we are jumping, we want to play this jump animation clip. So instead of running, so we need to make transition from running to jump. So right click on running and make transition to jump, okay, and select this arrow and go over to inspector. We're gonna untick this exit time. As soon as possible, we're gonna jump when we press down space key, and we're gonna set transition duration to 0, and we need to choose a condition in the bottom. If we scroll down, we have to set a some certain parameter. So and if that parameter is true, then we're gonna jump, okay. So we're gonna set a some certain parameter. So let's go to parameter animator tab. In the left side you can see parameter, so click on this head plus icon, and then let's choose this bold one, and let's call this something like jump, okay. So now select this arrow and let's hit this plus icon. So we're going to choose this jump parameter to false, sorry, true. So once we set this jump parameter to true, basically check, it will move over to jump animation clip, okay. But we also need to go back to jump to running, or we will stuck in the jump animation clip forever. So right click on jump and make transition back to running, and in this now we're going to select this arrow. So as soon as player just stand on the ground, okay, it should play running animation clip. So we're gonna untick this as exit time, and we're gonna set transition duration to 0, and let's scroll down to the bottom, and we're gonna choose a condition. So let's hit this plus icon, and we want to set this jump parameter to false, basically uncheck. So we're gonna set that parameter to false, and if that jump parameter is false, then running animation clip will be played, okay. So let's check that out. So let's hit this play button in the top and let's check it, okay. So we should able to see once we are basically check this one jump parameter. As you can see, jumping clip is playing over again and again, okay. And if I set this parameter to false, this jump parameter, okay, as you can see, running animation is clip just playing by now, because we have chosen that condition. If we select this arrow, as you can see, if we set the jump parameter to true, basically check, okay, the run jump animation clip will be played, because we have chosen that condition, as you can see right over here. And if we set this to false, as you can see, the running animation clip is playing. So I'm gonna unplay this. So instead of manually doing, we're gonna control this through our code. So when we press down space key, okay, so we're gonna set this jump parameter to true, and we know if we set it to true, the jump animation clip will be played, and once we set this one to be false, it will play running animation clip, okay. So now if we select this player game object, and we do know that we attach a animator component, as you can see. So basically we need a reference of this animator component, then we can switch up our animation clip. So let's double click that to play our player script to open it up in Visual Studio, and let's go to top of our class, okay. So let's make a public, okay, public, so we can see underneath our player script that is a animator component, okay, we're looking for, and let's call this something like animator, okay. and close that up with semicolon, Control S to save your code and move to Unity. So we're gonna see an empty field just gonna pop up underneath our player script says animator, and by default that will be empty. So what we need to drag this animator right there, so we will have a reference or link, then we can switch up the animation. Basically we can set this parameter. Okay, so just wait for it to compile, and when it's done, do the thing. So as you can see animator and it says none, basically empty. So we're gonna select this animator and drag it right there and double click that to open up in Visual Studio. Now we have animator component reference. Now we can switch up the animation. So we're gonna go to over here. As you can see, if we pressing down space key and we are on the ground, basically call info, then what we're doing, we just jumping. So when we jumping, we need to play that jump animation clip, and we do know we have reference. So let's go to animator. Okay, animator, then that is a bool parameter we set. So dot set bool we have to use. Okay, and make first bracket. So basically we just moving over to this animator component, and then we setting this bool, and make sure you in quotation you have to type the same name as you did in animator, which is jump. Okay, make sure you spell it correctly. Okay, so let's go to script, and in quotation we have to do it, and the second argument comma, it will take the value you want to set. So when we press down, we do know we need to set it to jump parameter to true, and if we set it to true, the jump animation clip will be played. So that's why we're gonna set it to true. Okay, and close that up with semicolon, and Control S to save your code, and we're gonna move over to on collision enter. So let's go to Unity first, and we will check firstly this one. Okay, when we press down space key, we should able to see jump animation clip will be played, because we firstly we just moving over to animator, then we using this set bool function, and this bool function is gonna take the parameter which is jump, in quotation we have to do it, and as a second argument we have to set the value. We set true. Okay, basically checked. Okay, so it will play this jump animation clip. So let's check that out. So let's hit this play button in the top, and let's see it's gonna work out. Okay, so let's hit this press space. As you can see, jumping animation clip is playing, but it's just playing always. So we don't want that. We just want to play one time when we press down space key, and once we are on the ground and running, then we need to set this jump parameter to false. Okay, false, and if we set it to false, as you can see, indeed running animation clip is playing. Okay, so what, when we should set this parameter to false. Oh, okay, so once we collide with this ground. Okay, collide with this ground or standing on the ground. So for that we're gonna use another function, and it's called on collision enter 2D. So let's go to script, and in the bottom we have to type this on collision enter, not 2D, basically a 3D game. So we have to type on collision enter. Okay, and this function get called when we collide with something, and collide with something. So what we have to do, so we're gonna go to script. So this function get called when we collide with something. Okay, and if we collide with this ground, what we want to set this jump parameter to false, and if we set this false, the running animation clip will be played. So let's go to script now, and so this function get called when we collide with something, and we're gonna check right over here, whatever we collided with, if that game object has a tag ground, and we do know we assigned this ground as a ground tag. If you haven't select that ground, go over to inspector and click on this tag, and it will be untagged. So click right there and click on add tag. Okay, and then hit this plus icon, and name the tag what you want, and then go back to that game object and assign that tag whatever you have recently named it. Okay, so I have named it ground, and we can extract info what we hit with by going to this collision. We can extract info something like name, tag, anything like that. So we're gonna check over here. So if collision, okay, collision dot tag, sorry, collision dot collider dot tag, if it's equals to ground, and make some curly brackets. So basically what we doing right over here, so when we collide with this ground, that this function gonna get triggered, and we checking right over here whatever we collided, we going to that collider and accessing the tag, and we checking if that tag is equals to ground in quotation we have to do. So we do know we assign it that ground as a ground tag, so we're gonna collide with this ground and we assign it this ground as a ground tag. So we checking right over here, so this gonna will be true. So what we want in that situation, we're gonna go to animator and we will set that jump parameter to false, and we do know if we set it to false, the jump running animation clip will be played. So let's go to animator, let's use this setWolf function. Okay, and as a first argument it will take the id or the parameter name, so in quotation we have to type which is jump, and second comma we have to set the value, so we're gonna set it to false, basically unchecked, and close that off with semicolon, and control s to save your code. And let's move to unity now. So once we collide with this ground, this running animation clip will be played because we setting this jump parameter to false, and we do know if we set it to false, this running animation clip will be played because we have chosen that condition. Okay, so let's hit this play button in the top now and let's check that out. It's gonna work out. Okay, so let's check it. So let's press down space key. As you can see, when we press down space key, we jumping, and when we collide with the ground, we are able to see that running animation clip is playing. But when we press down space key, we are playing jump animation clip, and you have to adjust the collider. It seems weird, so just go to the player and edit the collider as the size of your character. So we have to edit the collider, so we're gonna go to capsule collider, click on edit collider and edit the collider as the size of our character. And I hope you get the idea, just play around with it and you gonna get hang of it. Okay, so I hope you get the idea how you can transition between state animation state and how you can import 3D animation into your project. Okay, and lastly, thanks for watching this video. Okay, goodbye.